DroneTalks is an online platform to spread ideas and to educate in the drone ecosystem. At DroneTalks, we discuss technology, regulatory, business, and ecosystem topics openly with industry leaders to enable and foster innovation for a better future.
Welcome everyone, I'm Eszter Kovacs, co-founder and CEO of DroneTalks, and today I'm talking with Jordi Salvador, who is the CTO of the Barcelona Drone Center. Hi Jordi.
Hi, how are you?
Fine, thanks. So I should admit that I'm very excited about this talk because Barcelona Drone Center was the first drone center I have ever visited during my career, and they were really welcoming there. So I think this is one of the main reasons I have asked today Jordi to talk and introduce the drone center. But for first, before we go deeper into that, Jordi, about your background, because I know you even had a few projects during the university time where you developed some part of a drone hardware. I'm not too familiar with it, but what makes someone during the university focusing on drones, and what did you do in your early stage of the career?
Yes, I started working early in 2008 in the university, working with several drone projects there. Just for research and for the only purpose of getting more know-how in this technology. And at that time, we already noticed that this technology is not easy to deploy. Everything that flies has a lot of safety issues that you have to take into account. And we didn't have the right place to test them. And there, I already started to see that having some focused place specialized in order to test this type of system could be a good added value to this market.
Fantastic, and I cannot agree more. I think testing is one of the core activities drone companies must do to prove their solution is safe, and have a lot of testing hours helps also to receive approvals from authorities. So at your test center, what kind of tests drone companies can do?
Nowadays, we are covering the full pipeline of services because our main vision here is to help any company to deploy their applications to the market, and this covers from the manufacturers to the end users. So for manufacturers, for example, we offer here, of course, the testing services. They can start from even earlier stages of testing. For example, now we have experimental flight authorisations to fly systems up to 350 kilograms. Getting this type of flight permissions outside the test site is quite complicated, but here this type of companies can come and test the systems in a controlled environment thanks to having a segregated airspace and a really unpopulated environment. Then once the system progresses, we can offer them evaluation services intended for either conformity assessment processes or even as a part of justifying high sale numbers in several methodology studies. Or later on even, we can offer our facilities in order to perform demo events or workshops in which they can combine the flights in the test site with theoretical explanations here in our conference room that we have here just 30 seconds away from the airfield. So this is a really nice combination of theoretical and practical knowledge that also gives us the chance to offer services to pilots, performing trainings, scientific workshops, technical events, and so on. And finally, for operators, we also offer them the premises in order to train themselves, perform testing, or also evaluate their operational procedures in order to comply with all the requirements of operational authorizations. So this way we can cover the full pipeline needed from this testing, evaluation, and certification services. And we also can help thanks to having a really great team of engineers here that are developing these testing and evaluation technologies that are participating in a lot of research and development projects, both for public and private customers. We can also provide these R&D, consultancy, engineering services to those companies that need it, maybe because they lack this knowledge on their companies, or maybe because they want to outsource part of its developments. And here is where we can bring our more than 20 years experience working in this sector. I started in year 2008, but I have learned a lot of my colleagues here in the company that started in year 2000. And we can bring all this experience and share it with our customers in any of these different services that we are providing nowadays.
Yeah, and I think that's the key, because most of the drone companies are startups, right? They cannot and they don't hire for everything, right? But they need the expertise. So this is where I think this comes to the picture, this knowledge, what you have, and the test center for certain projects, to utilize the capabilities you offer. Fantastic. And I'm just wondering, this is great, you offer these capabilities, but what is the most exciting project going on? If I really want to pick one, who uses Barcelona Drone Center?
Okay, now, for example, we have a project that is quite interesting, that it's called TASI, that it's developed in a consortium of 4 companies. One is us, there we have TTI, we have Temai, and we also have Avionica, that are really top companies working in drones here in Spain. And also we have really special collaborations here with Fadacatec, and also the Polytechnical University of Valencia. And this project is focused on developing advanced systems for high-risk drones, so drones flying in SAIL 4 or greater, that will need to be properly integrated not only in U-space but also in controlled airspace outside the U-space. Also to have these sense and avoid capabilities, to have a proper management of all the data on board, starting with the powers, but also for all other data that we have on board, for example, making sure that all sensors are properly performing, having proper redundancies, ensuring that communications are properly working, and so on, in order to be able to safely deploy these long-range, beyond visual line of sight applications, even beyond radio line of sight. And in this project, we are participating as the final evaluators and testers of all these technologies. So we are integrating all those before mentioned technologies in one of our prototype systems here. We have prototypes in order to test technologies, and we are flight testing them, seeing how they contribute in increasing the safety and security of the drone operation, and so on. And this is maybe one of the most interesting projects that we have ongoing, but also we have a lot of projects focused on these new applications that we have now coming, like delivery, urban air mobility, and so on. So there is now, we think, a lot more going on in the drone sector than a couple of years before. Maybe after the pandemic, we have now a new idea of what drones can bring us, not only drones, but all robotic technology. And we think that we have a quite bright future now for this market.
Cannot agree more. And you mentioned the keyword U-space, Jordi, which is my favorite word nowadays. So I'm just wondering, what's your view on U-space? Is it going to be a catalyst for the industry? And do you plan to be a part of future demonstrations regarding U-space? Or what's your view generally about it?
We think it's really necessary and really important to have it in place as soon as possible, because it enables us to deploy, as I said, beyond visual line of sight operations, but also to increase the amount of traffic that we can handle in a single part or area of terrain. And even we have to be even more ambitious on what we want that use space to be able to do. to do, because in the future we want to imagine that a lot of drones are flying in cities, in crowded places, and we want to ensure that all those systems are able to manage between them without a single human having to take care of all of them. So we have to also see how all this automation of the system will be done. And as a test site, we are already developing our own, we can say, a small use space system here in order to segregate the different testers inside. And we are also collaborating with different use space providers in order to test the systems here and be able to demonstrate different behaviors of the features that the use space has to provide us. And we have some projects that are already focusing in demonstrating or validating these technologies that will be part of use space in the future.
Cannot agree more, Jordi, and it's nice to hear that you are already taking action at your center regarding use space. So as a last question, I'm just wondering, you are engaged with a lot of drone companies daily basis. They come test at your test center, you talk to them, I guess. What are the current challenges of the drone companies of today, and what do you think, how can we unlock them, just in a nutshell?
I think that one of the main limitations that companies are facing nowadays is the uncertainty in the legislation. Although we nowadays are in a much better position than a couple of years ago, thanks to the new EASA legislation, there are a lot of questions still to be solved. There are not yet standards adopted for some of the different issues that we must overcome. There are still some gaps to cover, but although this is a major limitation in the deployment of some applications, we are really optimistic about overcoming that. Mainly because there is a lot of effort being done in that. First of all, by the CAAs that are really hardworking in order to solve all these issues, looking for ways to overcome the major drawbacks, and also from the private sector that is eager to move the market. And here, as a test site, we are also setting a lot of effort in testing and evaluating all the systems involved, for example, as we already said, with use space, with redundancy, with these advanced systems that have to give more safety and security features to the technology. And we are willing to see all these new applications that are coming, drone delivery, drone taxis, and so on, to be a reality. And we are also hard working in also to make them a reality as soon as possible, because they will bring a lot of value to our society.
Cannot agree more, Jordi, and we think that Europe is the best place for drone companies, So yes, EASA is a great leader regarding regulation. Thank you so much, Jordi, for the discussion. It was really a great one.
Thanks to you for inviting us to this interview.
Bye.
Bye.
Brought to you by DroneTalks Online, a platform designed to spread ideas and educate in the drone ecosystem.